Still are NBA players.
We'll examine the
Are we beginning another year of drought? The details on Eyewitness News tonight at 10.
The Augustana Vikings. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits. The Prime Time Showdown. Eyewitness Sports presents North Central Conference College Basketball, brought to you in part by the Southeastern South Dakota John Deere dealers. Nothing runs like a deer. And by Coca-Cola, you can't beat the feeling. Get set for the Primetime Showdown, the Augustana Vikings and the South Dakota State Jacks.
Good evening from the very noisy Elman Center on the campus of Augustana College in Sioux Falls. NCC Basketball, the Eyewitness News Network, bringing you the 117th meeting between the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State and the Vikings of Augustana College. And before further ado, we're going to get the starting lineups for tonight's game.
And now, basketball fans, here are your starting lineups for tonight's game. First, for the South Dakota State University Jackrabbits. At one guard, a 6'1" junior from Brookings, South Dakota, number 10, Scott Holm. At the other guard, a 5'10" junior from Elgin, Illinois, number 20, Tony Matthews. At one forward, a 6'3" sophomore from Brookings, number 32, Jeff Boer. At the other forward, a 6'9" freshman from Waubay, South Dakota, number 50, Coy Nelson. And at center, a 6'9" senior from Kenyon, Minnesota, number 40, Brian Flum. Head coach of the Jackrabbits, Jim Thorson. And now, here are the Augustana Vikings. At one guard, a 6-foot freshman from Rushford, Minnesota, number 20, Dana Grimsrud. At the other guard, a 6'5" junior from Platte, South Dakota, number 24, Kyle Georgie. At one forward, a 6'6" junior from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, number 44, Don Steger. At the other forward, a 6'7" junior from South St. Paul, Minnesota, number 54, Bruce Feldman. And at center, a 6'10" junior from Postville, Iowa, number 52, Brett Sabo. Head coach of the Vikings, Bill Gross, assisted by Gary Thomas. Would you all please remain standing now? Augustana Deaf Awareness, now with over 50 members, is proud to present the national anthem in sign language. Deaf Awareness promotes sign language and awareness of deafness on campus as well as in the Sioux Falls community. Deaf Awareness welcomes all of you to come to the annual Burst of Sign, which will be held April 6th. Please feel free to sing along now with the Augustana Pep Band under the direction of Greg Hondel and with Deaf Awareness as they present our national anthem.
set for game time here at the Elman Center. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits and the Augustana Vikings. As I mentioned, the 117th meeting between the two. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Harkness, along with Dan Buck, courtside tonight. It should be an interesting matchup between two teams that are struggling a bit right now.
Well, really, you've got Augie, who's really been struggling over the last 2 weeks. They haven't really been able to find a niche, a groove. They have not been able to get into the transition game early. In fact, the first 10 minutes have really dictated their performance. If they can come out of the gate here, get the crowd into it early, that's a big plus. The Jacks, though, coming off a good weekend. They lost by 1 to UNO and a big win over UNC by 16. So they're playing well and they're healthy. We'll get more on that later.
Augustana and White. Brett Zabel at center, number 52, jumping center against Brian Flom, number 40. Just about set to go away. Almost a capacity crowd of nearly 4,000 here at the Elman Center. The tip is controlled by Augustana. Dana Grimsrud, the freshman out of Rushford, Minnesota, making his first ever collegiate start within the backcourt, sharing duties with Kyle Georgery. Bill Gross is shaking things up tonight for Augustana. We'll talk about that as the game progresses. Georgery on the outside. Gets it back out to Grimsrud. Steger tried to get it inside to Bruce Veldman, but instead it's knocked away. Augie gets it back. Sabo controls, and we've got a whistle.
Good job by Steger that time. He wanted to go inside. Veldman got cut off. He made the turnover. They came right back up with a steal a few moments later. So good hustle on the part of Steger.
First foul of the evening is called against Jeff Boer, the 6'3" forward from the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Non-shooting foul, so it's ball out of bounds to the Augustana Vikings. Steger gets it in. Grimsrud. Back around to Georgery. This is Zabel in the corner. He'll put it up from 13, and it's off the back of the rim. Ball out of bounds. Oh. Augustana will maintain control.
Big break there. Looked like from this angle anyway. Don Steger was the last to touch it, but they'll give it to the Jacks, or give it to the Vikings.
Steger will trigger the inbounds pass. Gets it way up top to Georgery. Grimsrud in the corner. Operating against the 2-3 zone. Grimsrud. Inside to Zabel from 6 feet away, again off the back of the rim. Steger controls it, comes down with it, and we've got a held ball. Scott Holm also there to grab it, and the first possession out of the arrow of the night points in the direction of the Jackrabbits.
You talk about putting some zip on a pass. I mean to tell you, Dana Grimsrud drilled that ball in there to Zabel. Good job by handling it.
Jackrabbits with the basketball. Jeff Boer on the outside, operating against the zone, gets it inside. Coy Nelson turns and hits. Nelson, the freshman from Wabe, getting just his second consecutive start. He's in there for Rich McClendon, who still is not quite 100% after spraining his ankle back on the 20th. Grimsrud loses it for Augustana, back on the Jackrabbits the other way. Again, it's Nelson in the middle. And 4 quick points by Coy Nelson. And the Jackrabbits are out on top 4-0.
I'll tell you what, Coy Nelson could be a force to be reckoned with, simply from the confidence standpoint. He got his first start, scored 17 points, and ripped down 6 rebounds in his first start, and he's off to a quick start here.
Augie now a 4-0 deficit. Georgery on the outside. Steger left alone, and Steger hits. Don Steger, the junior, averaging almost 10.5 points a game for the Vikings so far this year, and it's a 4-2 game.
That's a gimme. You can't give up an open 10-footer like that.
Scott Holm around to Jeff Boer. Tony Matthews in the corner, the only player on the floor for South Dakota State averaging better than 10 points a game.
They spread out the wealth.
Rich McClendon, their big scorer, is on the bench, as we mentioned, recovering from a sprained ankle. He will play tonight. Shot blocked by Zabel. Flom tried to take it up. Instead, it's Grimsrud back the other way for Augustana. Georgery, we got some pushing inside. Steger will be called for the offensive foul.
And the Boo Birds are out here at Augustana's Helmet Center. Didn't really look like that physical of a foul. They called him for hooking.
Our officials tonight, the referee is John Leeser of St. Cloud, Minnesota. The umpire, Michael Spanier of Sartell, Minnesota. Those two gentlemen trying to keep things under control tonight. The Jackrabbits have it, operating against the Augustana zone. Matthews down the corner. Boer on the outside. Bouncing inside. Flom over Zabel. Too strong. Rebounded by Steger. I think Bill Gross and company would love to get Flom to take that shot all night.
Anytime you can get a player to shoot over Brett Zabel, your chances are pretty good. 6'10", outstretched arms.
Zabel has a 2-inch height advantage on Flom on the inside. Lob inside. Grimsrud tried to pass it, but instead it went off the rim. And Matthews has it the other way. Inside, a bad pass for Coy Nelson.
Both teams really forcing it right now, Jeff, pushing it inside. Not really showing much confidence on the perimeter. And again, I talked about the first 10 minutes of key for Augie. They've got to get this crowd into it.
The officials reversing themselves now, giving it to the Vikings. Still a 4-2 ball game. Just past the 17-minute mark.
Pretty bad when the biggest cheer is on an out-of-bounds play so far in this game.
It'll get louder, no doubt. Jordry. Steger on the outside has the only Augustana field goal so far. And Nelson has all 4 points for State. Grimsrud. Augustana looking to get something going here on offense. They look kind of out of it right now. Zabel on the outside. A big height advantage there on Boer, and he takes advantage. To give you an idea, Brett Zabel 6'10", Jeff Boer 6'3", and the 7-inch difference really paid off that time for Zabel.
Kind of an unusual matchup. They're in a 2-3 zone, though. They're really not matching up man-to-man, but like you said, when you can get them on that off wing with Boer, that's a big advantage for Augie.
Matthews hounded by Grimsrud. Holm takes the shot, and he hits from 3. Scott Holm only averages 5 points a game. He's a junior out of Brookings, a hometown boy for the Jackrabbits, and Jordry did the bunny hop, no pun intended. The ball goes back to South Dakota State. They lead at 7-4, 15:57 left in the opening half.
We just saw Scott Holm nail one down from three-point range. He's quite a golfer, too. Did you know he went to college 2 years at Texas Lutheran, played 2 years of golf there before coming back here in redshirt. So he can find a lot of holes to put it in.
Holm and Matthews on the outside. Again, this is Matthews for 3, and it banks in. Rattles in, I should say, off the rim. All of a sudden, it's stayed up by 6 now with 15:30 to play.
Some folks might be thinking these rims are loose, but they're not. We've got them wired for sound. That's why they sound so loud.
Steger taking it inside, and no basket. Offensive foul against Don Steger.
And that'll be his second personal foul. He doesn't like it a bit.
Brian Flom held his ground, number 40. Picked up the offensive foul on Steger, who, as you said, Dan, picks up his second. And right away, we're going to have substitutions for Augustana. Jason Garrow, who ordinarily starts, will come into the ball game, as will Mike Hansen when the next dead ball occurs. But we've got State on offense and a 6-point lead. Matthews gets it back out top to Boer. Holm to Matthews. Tony very busy along the baseline, back and forth against the zone. Boer too strong, and air ball. Pulled down by Veldman. Up quickly to Jordry. Zabel way outside. Grimsrud sets it up now. Jordry from 15 gets through, and it goes. Nice control that time by Kyle Jordry as he picks up the first foul on the shot and gets the basket.
Great move. Just a great move. He decides nothing inside, so he's going to take it inside. Working man on man there. You see him taking it to Jeff Boer. Boer couldn't get position, slid underneath him. That'll be Boer's first personal. Make that his second personal foul, and he'll take a quick seat as Jim Thorson wants to make sure he doesn't get that third foul here in the early going. 14:36 to go.
Into the ball game for State, Brian Westlake, number 24, a junior from Muscatine, Iowa. And we're going to take a break. 14:36 left in the opening half. South Dakota State on top of Augustana 10-6. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
The sparkling kitchen sinks of Sioux Falls, rich and famous, are all waiting for you at Handyman at incredibly low prices. Brighten up your kitchen with a shining new stainless sink for a mere $39. Or turn your kitchen into a stunning showplace with a gourmet sink for just $299. And there's nothing like the quality of a color enameled sink to add glamour to your kitchen for only $159. Hurry to Handyman for big savings on dozens of fine quality sinks. Handyman is the professional and affordable way to do it yourself.
I'm bored. The rumors are true. I can't keep pouring it on year after year. It's enough already. I'm leaving, all right? I won't play this game anymore. You know why? I've discovered it's time to change my serve.
Discover the 1-calorie real cola taste worth leaving Pepsi for.
Just for the taste of it. Goodbye, Pepsi. You think you're in, I say you're out. Diet Coke.
Welcome back to the Elman Center. 14:36 to play in the opening half. State leads at 10-7. Dan, as we mentioned, both teams have been struggling a bit. Augustana has dropped 3 in a row. State has yet to win a game away from Brookings this year. They're 0-7 overall, and coming into tonight's game, both coaches shook things up a little bit with that in mind.
Yeah, Jim Thorson, I don't know if he's so much shaking it up, maybe perhaps giving Rich McClellan a little more time to rest, but he can't argue with the performance of Coy Nelson. But Augie, you're right, they have really shaken things up. They've got Dana Grimsrud starting at the point instead of Elisha Culpepper, and so far it really hasn't got the spark that he had hoped for.
Tony Matthews with his first shot of the night puts it down, and it's 12-7. The Jackrabbits with the advantage right now.
They're shooting the lights out from the perimeter, and they're going to have to do that because inside they don't match up with Augie, but they keep shooting like this from the outside, they can beat anybody.
Gross also moved Georgie from the forward spot to the off guard spot. Sat down both Culpepper, as you mentioned, and Jason Garrow, who ordinarily starts. Mike Hansen puts it in on the outside. Nine points now for Augustana. They still trail it by 3.
There's another guy. I tell you, talk about athletic ability. This guy can do it all also. They've got a sweet jumper. He takes it hard to the hole. He rebounds. He's very aggressive defensively. And this time out, Augie's dropping into a pressure zone defense. Somewhat of a 1-2-2.
Flom inside, rolls off the rim, rebounded by Westlake. They get it back out.
Westlake checking in during that last time out. That guy can light it up from the outside too.
Bryant averaging about 6 points a game. Scott Holmes sets things up again. This is Westlake. Thought twice about it. Instead, bounce it inside. A wild shot by Flom. One of the Augie defenders might have gotten a hand on it. And the Vikings come back down trying to dig into that 3-point deficit.
Watch this Mike Hansen play. I tell you what, he can take it to the hole. It's fun to watch him. He's very quick for a big guy.
Georgie on the outside. It rolls off. Rebounded inside by Veldman. And it's ball out of bounds to Augustana. Hansen tried to take it to the hole that time. Lost it out of bounds. Last touched by the Jackrabbits. So we've got a first quarter score from Wichita Falls. The Skyforce a bucket better right now than the Texans. And we'll keep updating you on that game later on in the night as we go along. Augustana still with it. Garrow on the outside now. As we mentioned, started before, stolen by Matthews. He's got Georgie to beat, and he does.
Quickness, I tell you. Tony Matthews is quick on the steal and even quicker to get up court.
And he needs that quickness. He's the only player on the floor less than 6 feet. He's 5'10". Inside, the shot rolls in for Bruce Veldman. Again, Veldman, one of the new starters tonight for Augie, getting his first start for the Vikings this season.
Westlake air ball, and they're going to get on him for that one, you can bet.
Georgie pushing it up now. Augie still trails it by 3. Garrow to Zabo, 16 feet away. Back to Garrow, who is a prolific 3-point shooter.
Has been cold as of late.
Shot partially blocked by Flom inside. Controlled by the Jackrabbits.
When they're in that 2-3 zone, that's what that middleman's got to do. He's got to get out there and help out the smaller forwards. And Flom did a good job getting his hand up and getting a piece of it.
Hansen a little tentative that time, taking it to the hole, and Flom was there for the rejection. Holm on the outside, off the front of the rim, rebounded, strong inside by Veldman. And a foul is going to be whistled against Coy Nelson. Substitutions now for the Jackrabbits. We'll get our first look at Anthony Tucker, number 34, and Pete Leiferman, number 54. Leiferman 6'8" out of Aurora. Tucker 6'2" out of Anderson, Indiana.
We have 5 Augustana players in the scoring column, each with only 1 bucket.
And if anyone's going to take off, it's going to be that man right there, Brett Zabo. But again, his shot is too long. That's 3 long shots he's put up so far tonight.
Talked about the aggressiveness of Mike Hansen. Right there, he showed it on the offensive boards. It goes up strong and goes up even stronger with it and gets mugged underneath. They could have flipped a coin to see which Jack nailed him. They're going to whistle.
Leiferman, who just came in.
Leiferman, his first personal. And the 4th team foul against the Jacks. And he'll shoot a pair.
So Hansen goes to the line. On the year, just a 35%er from the line, and he showed why on the first one.
You know, and he's better than that too. It's just one of those things where you don't get a lot of playing time to get into games, and free throws can be awful pressure cook.
Comes away 50% on that time down. It's a 2-point ball game right now with about 11 minutes to play in the opening half. Anthony Tucker now running the offense for the Jackrabbits. Westlake back to Tucker. Hit it inside. Instead, it's stolen away by Zabo, but it's stolen right back by Westlake. Dishes it off to Nelson, and Nelson puts it in. Good decision that time by Westlake. He thought twice about going up against Brett Zabo. Instead, dished it off to Nelson, who put in the easy two, and it's a 4-point state lead.
Back-to-back turnovers, and they just kind of traded favors there.
Feldman wide open inside, hesitated, and still gets the roll. If Bruce had put that one up right when he got the ball, he wouldn't have had anybody there, but as it was, he waited. Coy Nelson and another defender came over, made it a little more difficult for him. And Augie will maintain possession.
Feldman now with 4, and that leads Augie. Like I said, they have 5 people in the scoring column, but nobody really lighting the world on fire. Each with only 1 basket with the exception of Feldman.
Overall in this series, State leads at 72-44, but that's a little misleading because in the last 10, Augustana has come away with 8 victories. In fact, in the 80s, Augie led the series 13-9.
The Bill Gross era.
Anthony Tucker buries it from the outside, his first hoop of the night. And it's a 5-point state lead right now with exactly 10 minutes to play.
That is the 3rd three-pointer that State has hit on the ball game. And we are at the halfway point of the first half.
Brad Timmerman will be in for the Jacks when it's dead, and it's dead now because we got a foul inside on Nelson. Coy Nelson whistled for the push inside. That's number 2 on the big freshman. Westlake will sit down for the Jackrabbits. We've got a timeout. 9:51 to play in the first half. South Dakota State on top of Augustana 19-14 from the Elman Center, and you're watching it on the Eyewitness News Network.
It's fast, it's quick, and it starts with only a phone call that sends Rinelli's off, making the finest pizza possible. Rinelli's prides themselves on making the best quality pizza at a great price. They use only the finest ingredients to make their pizzas, including real cheese, fresh garnishes, and a tangy pizza sauce that's unbeatable. You also won't find additional charges on their pizza for delivery because they bring it right to your door absolutely free. So the next time you're calling to have a pizza delivered, start with Rinelli's for twice the pizza taste for half the pizza price.
Since 1882, USD has been the university for South Dakota. Led by a nationally renowned faculty, we are committed to teaching, research, and service. Our commitment continues as we solve the questions of today to ensure a bright tomorrow. At USD, South Dakota's citizens learn the newest concepts in law, business, medicine, arts and sciences, fine arts, and education. Building a bright future is the commitment of your university, the University of South Dakota.
We're in the home of the Vikings, the Augustana Vikings, the Elman Center on the Augie campus in Sioux Falls. Jeff Harkness along with Dan Buck. Right now, a little over half of the first half has been played, and State has pretty much led most of the way. Right now, they're up by 5, Ken.
Well, they are, and really Tony Matthews and Coy Nelson doing most of the scoring for South Dakota State. Matthews at this point with 7, Coy Nelson with 6. And they're really lighting it up from the perimeter. Through 10 minutes of basketball, they have hit on 3 of 4 three-point attempts. And I'm sure Jim Thorson says, hey, let's keep shooting them and keep trying them until we start missing, because that's what's going to beat Augustana. They can't go inside with only 1 big man, and that's right now what they're playing with.
So far for both of these teams this season, it's really been the tale of 2 seasons for each. State started out winning their first 5 ball games, all non-conference affairs. Since then, they've lost 11 of their last 14, 1 5-game losing streak in there, another 4-game losing streak in there. Augie, on the other hand, won their first 8 ball games, including a couple in the conference. But since then, they're 4-6 since New Year's Day, and as we mentioned earlier, they've lost 3 in a row.
During that last time out, a couple of fresh bodies in there for the Vikings. Elisha Culpepper, along with Michael Deering.
Deering, of course, Augie football fans, you know him as one of the wide receivers that Joel Nelson threw to prolifically this last season. This is Culpepper, who ordinarily played the starting point guard, but was taken out tonight. As Deering throws up an air ball, but it's rebounded inside by Hanson, who puts it back up and in.
I'll tell you, he's just got a nose for the ball. Hanson has a great job of just reading this ball coming in here. You saw it in reverse motion, now you're going to see it in slow motion coming at you. The short, he just takes it straight up, gets hammered by Flom, and good call, good bucket. Mike Hansen looking for his 6th point of the night here if he can nail the free throw. As we said, he has struggled from the line.
As you mentioned, though, Dan, he's been very aggressive, and that play is paying off for him so far as Deering rips away the rebound. Inside, there's Hansen again, and he puts it up and in.
Talk about aggressive Michael Deering.
He can't hit the 15-footer, but he'll take the 6-footer. He counts for 2 instead of 1. Augustana's back to within a point now. 19-18, 9:15 to go opening half. Anthony Tucker on the outside. Augie now in a man-to-man defense. Garrow's guarding him. Got a foul inside. It's going to be whistled against Hansen, who was playing a little too aggressively that time on Pete Leiferman.
Well, I tell you what, that 4-point trip down by the Vikings last time did was wake this crowd up a little bit. A lot of people there had been sitting on their hands because they hadn't had much to cheer about. But the bench support of Hansen and Deering sparked them there.
Anthony Tucker gets it into Timmerman, who drives on Deering and puts it up and in. Brad Timmerman, the freshman from Cuba City, Wisconsin.
You knew where that was.
Sure.
Right.
Culpepper.
Oh,
Hansen looking for something.
That's a shot he should take. Pull that up and nail it, Mike.
But if you notice, he never even looked at the basket that time. Deering on the outside, cross court. Garrow for 3, and it rims out. Earlier, he was unstoppable from 3-point range in the first few ball games of the year, but his confidence has really been hurt, and thus finally tonight, Bill Gross pulling him from the starting lineup.
You can almost see the confidence in his face, like, can please go in, instead of that's in.
Tucker, yes. Tucker nailed 3, and he wanted a foul.
He landed up in the front row of the Vikings bench that time after getting shellacked by Garrow after taking that shot. No call.
And again, stayed up by 6. Garrow and Culpepper. Deering. Again, the Jackrabbits back, and now it looks like a 1-2-2 zone. Culpepper, a little high for Veldman, and he loses the ball. Matthews back the other way with Culpepper on him, and he will bank it in and out. Elijah, Deering, all the way, no, and a block. Pete Leiferman, we whistled for the personal. Deering just a little bit too much English on it that time, rolled off the rim. But Michael will be going to the line for 2.
Quick transition there, both ways. Neither team coming up with any points on it, but that's the exciting brand of basketball the NCC is known for. Up till now, it's kind of been a half-court game, neither team getting into their transition.
Michael, the 6'4" sophomore from St. Paul, knows how to play against these Jackrabbits. At the first meeting up in Brookings back on January 13th, he led Augustana in scoring with 19. Also co-led them with Zabel in rebounding with 7. Puts a couple through here, and it's a 4-point game again. State by 4. Zabel will check in when it's dead. Matthews. Flom gets it off inside. Leiferman puts it up and in.
Just a good, strong move by Pete that time. He had Hansen in good position on him, but he just took it straight up and in.
Deering extending the zone, goes to Culpepper. 2 low posts right now. Hansen on one side, Veldman on the other. Inside, this is Veldman. Has trouble with it. Loose ball on the floor, and it's a held ball. Timmerman and Deering, and it'll be ball out of bounds to Augustana.
And I think that was something that really concerned Bill Gross early in the year, was that there weren't enough bodies on the floor going after those loose balls, not enough aggressiveness. That time he had to like the effort of both Veldman and Deering. They both were diving for the loose ball, and that's what the Vikings need, a little more aggressive play. They seem like they are all sitting back waiting for something to happen.
Scott Holm checks back in there for the Jackrabbits as Tony Matthews takes a seat. Hansen. Deering from aid, rejected by Flom.
Get out of here. Took it into a double team and really a triple team when one of them is Brian Flom. Big
Brian Flom timed his lead perfectly that time and just stuffed it right back in Deering's face. Flom left open for 15, instead passes it off nicely inside Timmerman, but it doesn't go, and here comes Augustana. A 6-point game, 6:30 to play opening half. And again, we have not seen Rich McClendon.
And believe me, folks, if he was healthy, we would see it. Carroll again misses from 3-point.
But there's Hansen once again. Hansen inside right now is leading Augustana. He's got 9 in the early going, and we've got a steal by Culpepper. controls the loose ball, up against Flom, and he gets it in the foul. That might have been the play right there that will turn the momentum around in this first half.
What an outstanding effort on the part of Elisha Culpepper. Comes up with the steal at midcourt. Now we're going to have a technical called on the court for objects being thrown on the court.
There had been some concern before the ball game. Obviously, the tradition between these two schools, it's a very heated rivalry. There have been incidents in the past, and so before the ball game, they made a very clear announcement to the entire crowd that anyone who threw anything out on the floor would be an automatic technical foul against the home team, obviously in this case Augustana. Also, because of incidents that have happened in years past with live animals being let loose, namely jackrabbits, they also made an announcement before the game that anyone letting loose a live animal would be criminally prosecuted, and that the Humane Society was on hand to take anyone who did that into custody, and that they had gone as far, Dan, as to alert the police. The local pet stores had alerted police of the names of people who had bought rabbits in the last week. That's how far it has gone.
Well, they're hoping it doesn't go that far tonight. Both Jim Thorson and Bill Gross were brought together at midcourt by the official, and I'm sure both were told that we're not going to put up with it. Technical fouls will be assessed, not necessarily to the home team either. They may do it within the judgment of the officials if they feel that there are plenty of state fans in this arena as well. And I know that was a problem down at USD. During the USD Jacks game, carrots kept coming out after 3 technicals, and Coyote fans aren't that dumb. You know, that was Jack fans throwing the carrots on getting technical fouls.
And it's technicals both ways. Home will shoot 2 because of the object on the floor.
Now home is shooting the technicals. The other foul shots were from the foul earlier on.
Okay.
So the technical was assessed to the Vikings. He hits 1 of 2.
All right, I stand corrected. We did see an object out on the floor.
It was a carrot.
And that was the reason for the technical.
And it was a carrot, and Jason Garrow got hit in the foot by it. He threw it back into the stands, but not quick enough. The fans saw it, or the officials saw it.
So after the technical and after the foul shots at both ends, it'll be ball out of bounds to the Jackrabbits, who lead it by a bucket with 6 minutes to play in the opening half.
You know, and that's really too bad, too, because like you said, that could have been a big momentum swing, a 4-point transition by Augustana, and it looked like the crowd was into it, and suddenly a technical takes them out of it.
Again, Hansen playing very aggressively, but again, picking up the foul this time, number 2. Whistle against Mike.
That's the kind of player he is. He gets so aggressive and into the ballgame, sometimes he just gets a little over-anxious or over-commits to his player. But like I said, defensively, you can't beat him because he'll get in people's kitchens.
Just the 4th team foul whistle against the Vikings, so it's ball out of bounds. Tucker throws it up. No, and there's McClendon.
He snuck in there.
He snuck in there when we weren't looking, but Rich McClendon makes his presence felt right away.
He snuck in there also for the bucket, or the rebounding bucket as well.
Leads the Jackrabbits, averaging 14.7 points a game on the year. As I mentioned, sprained his ankle back on the 20th of January against Mankato State. And at that point, he had been averaging 19.5 points a game.
On buckets like that, too. He's a very strong rebounder, especially offensively.
During the shot partially blocked. Like Tucker got a hand on it.
You see Deering talking to the officials saying, what do I have to do to draw a foul? And last report with 7 minutes remaining in the first half. It is the Sioux Falls Skyforce leading by 2.
Substitution for Augustana at that last dead ball. Steve Anderson, the junior from Mitchell, coming in, number 30. Joins Zabo down low at the post. Deering inside to Zabo, who's been camped out in the lane. He gets the bucket and the foul. He life him in that time, got him on the arm. Zabo had pitched a tent in there.
I tell you what, look at that move, though. In between 2 defenders, he is so strong at turning around and sneaking under. Even at 6'10", he's good at getting underneath the defender. Even if they're stationed behind him like he was there, he just kind of hooked him with his body, went up strong, drew the foul, tries to make it a 3-point play.
And he does. Brett with tape on his left hand. He's got some stitches there that he suffered in some losses over the weekend. He got banged up. Don Steger also got banged up. He's got stitches over his eye. It doesn't affect either one of them, though. 4:54 to play opening half. State 29, Augie 28. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
You got a vision, a dream for the future. You want to see it come true.
If you're on the road to success, is an achievement. Southwest State is for you.
Discover your future. At Southwest State, your choices are clearer now.
Look ahead.
You're going far. Discover your future.
At Southwest State.
You can see the full Yarcraft boat and Mercury outboard lines during Brookings Marine's Indoor Boat Show at the University Mall February 9th, 10th, and 11th. Let the legend move you in your new Yarcraft boat equipped with Mercury outboard engines. The Yarcraft 1781 TPS was the winner of Popular Mechanics Walleye Boat Shootout. Yarcraft's exclusive double-flared bow design gives you the driest, most comfortable ride no matter what the conditions, and Mercury outboard engines give you the power it takes to get out on the lake. Brookings Marine's Indoor Boat Show February 9th, 10th, and 11th at the University Mall in Brookings.
Things have evened up right now. A one-point ball game with 4:54 to play. So far, Augustana has been very stingy with their fouls, only 4 personals. That's going to pay off for them down the stretch in this half because everything will be out of bounds unless it's a shooting foul.
No question, with only 4:54 to go in this first half. The game's been everything we thought it would be. Very close. Both teams kind of tentative off the start. Feeling each other out.
Right now they're having trouble holding on to the basketball. What do we have? A foul is going to be whistled against Leiferman. Leiferman's picked up 3 in a hurry. And that'll be free throw time for the Vikings. And very quickly, Jeff Boer gets back in there.
Tell you what, this is one of those type of fouls where you're not sure who to call on. Look at bodies all over the court. Just happened that Leiferman was the one who got whistled for it. And as you talked about, the bonus now, Jeff, could become a very big factor.
Culpepper goes to the line on the year, a 60%er from the charity stripe, and he swishes the first.
That's the first point of the night for Elisha.
Culpepper averaging 5 points and 2 rebounds a ball game. He also leads the squad with 75 assists coming into this one tonight. And he's got them both, and Augustana has their first lead since, I think, the first lead of the night, Dan.
Of the ball game.
30-29. 4.5 minutes to play in the opening half.
We talked about the Jacks hitting on 3 3-pointers in the first 10 minutes. In the next 5, they've yet to hit one.
Matthews wants to run play number 1. Boer inside to McClendon. He turns and it rims out. Knocked around inside. Westlake had a hand on it, but it's brought out by Georgie, who gives it to Culpepper. This is Kyle, bounce it inside and right through the wickets.
Read my mind, Jeff. I said right through the wickets.
Brett Zabel had to go right through his legs, but when you're 6'10 and a pass is thrown that low, it does get kind of difficult at times.
That ball was whistling in there.
Hey, we've got an update for you from Wichita Falls. The Skyforce did win the first quarter against the Texans, and right now they lead it with about 7 minutes to play in the first half, 36-31 over Wichita Falls. Sioux Falls will be back home in the arena Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Matthews shot short from 3. Rebounded inside by Feldman. And Augie looks to build on a 1-point lead. One shot down the last few times for South Dakota State.
The Vikings really have to establish the perimeter. Right now, that 2-3 zone of the Jacks really getting laxed out top. They're sagging down low on the big man.
Anderson left alone, and he swishes it in over McClendon. Steve Anderson getting his first bucket of the night. Augie leads it by 3. Matthews. Augie still playing a man-to-man. Bounce it inside. Westlake puts it up and into the foul. Looks like it'll be whistled against Zabel, who doesn't like to call it all.
It was Leiferman inside, and he really did a good job on the hook. I don't know how he kept control of his body the way he did, because he's getting banged around pretty good there. As you saw there, him going up, getting hit as the ball was being released. He still had the presence of mind to keep the soft touch and put it in.
First personal on Zabel, but he will sit down anyway. As Don Steger checks back in for Augustana. Rebounded inside by Boer, who puts it back up and in. Woo! Jeff Boer didn't have the position on the lane, but was able to slip in there by Don Steger.
Boer, who scored 23 the first time these two teams matched up in Brookings. That was his first 2 points of the game.
Georgie from 14 hangs and hits. And you could just see Anthony Tucker that time say, oh no, oh no.
Went right up and over it.
Right as Georgia went by him. This is Tucker with the basketball to Matthews. We got a whistle underneath. Someone's going to be called for a push, and it looks like it's going to be Bruce Feldman. And it is. Or is it 54 the other way?
No, it was on Feldman. Feldman having a word with the other official saying, come on, I didn't touch him. Let us play.
Ball out of bounds to the Jackrabbits. This is McClendon down low, blocked by Feldman. And it went off McClendon. Augustana with control. Nice play that time by Bruce Feldman.
Jack showed a full court pressure there for a moment, and then they decided to fall back. So apparently Jim Thorson had thoughts of going into the full court pressure, the diamond full court defense.
Hockey leads it by 1. Anderson in the corner. Kicks it back out to Georgery. Culpepper. Georgery pushing off that time. Will be called for the offensive foul. A good call.
A very good call. That's a call that a lot of officials won't make.
He got his elbow right there in the rib cage.
I don't know if you can see it from this angle or not. You see him pushing off right there.
I think Tucker also with a little bit of an acting job there, but it was effective.
Send that man to Hollywood.
About 2 minutes to play now. 2 minutes exactly, 34-33. Augustana leads it, prime time. North Central Conference basketball coming to you live on the Eyewitness News Network. Matthews against Georgia, who kicks it, and they'll reset the 45-second clock.
Anthony Tucker has stayed in the game, but he has hit on both three-point attempts coming in. He's a 50% three-point shooter coming in. He was 8 of 16, and yet he hasn't taken another three-point try since about the 11-minute mark.
State has really been trying to punch it in from down low in the last 4 or 5 minutes, whereas at the beginning of the game they were scoring most of their points from the outside. Double team in the corner. Culpepper comes away with it, knocks it out of bounds off of Tucker. Beautiful trap that time in the corner. Anderson and Culpepper on the defensive effort.
Not only great defense on the part of Elisha Culpepper, but then they have the presence of mind to go after the loose ball when most people would be happy with watching it go out of bounds. He came back, slapped it back in, and it went off the hand of Tucker.
Scott Holm back in for the Jackrabbits, who trail it by 1. A minute 30 to play in the opening half. Coming up at halftime, a tribute to longtime athletic director at South Dakota State, Harry Forsythe, who will be retiring. Some enjoyable comments from some of his co-workers over the past years. Anderson from just inside three-point country rims off. Rebound pulled down by Leiferman, gets it up quickly to Westlake, who actually Matthews, who rims it in. One of the first outside shots that's fallen for State in the last few minutes. Matthews gets back, knocks it out of bounds. 62 seconds to play in the opening half. And that's State up by 1. Georgery looking at Steger. Back over to Anderson. Again to Steger inside now. Turns the shot is short, but there's Anderson. We've got a technical foul whistle against Feldman, who said something to the official as he went by.
I'm not sure he said something to the official, but he may have said something to Scott Holm underneath. Watch away from the ball, though, left of your screen. If they roll the tape on past the play, left of your, yeah, they're not going to have the official in there. Technical foul was called just off to the left of your screen.
What happened was Feldman was pushed inside, or was involved in some pushing inside.
And
as the foul was going on, and as the other activity was going on, as Feldman was going by the official, he said something that obviously wasn't too complimentary. He picks up a technical foul. First off, though, Anderson will shoot 2. Actually, he'll shoot 1. He'll shoot 2 because he didn't make the shot.
He has 3 now, and really some aggressive play out of Steve Anderson.
Nails the first, but the second one rims off. Ball game knotted at 35 now, but we're going to walk to the other end, where Tony Matthews will shoot a technical foul. And again, it'll be ball out of bounds to the Jackrabbits. First one is a brick. There's a chance to make 50%. And he does. So 48 seconds left now in the opening half. State will have a 1-point advantage and the basketball at midcourt. Boer gets it in the backcourt to Holm. The game clock about 3 seconds ahead of the 45-second clock. Or behind, I should say.
The Jacks were smart. They try to use up all of it. Go in the locker room with the lead. They're up by 1.
Boer gets it off down low to Matthews. Traveled. He changed pivot feet about 3 times. No call. Boer with 22 seconds left. Holm on the outside. 15 left on the shot clock. Holm against Georgery. Tried to go inside, and it's blocked by Feldman. 10 seconds left now for Augie. 5 seconds, Culpepper for 3, and it's off. Knocked around, and the buzzer sounds. We played 20 minutes at the Element Center. South Dakota State 36, Augustana 35. We're coming back with our halftime activities. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
When it comes to hogs, no one knows them better than the good folks at GTA Feeds. New Groplex complete feeds and supplements from GTA contain all the nutrients your hogs need for maximum production. Plus, GTA Feeds contain high levels of lysine to save you money without sacrificing feed quality or performance. See your GTA Feeds dealer today and put Groplex to work for you. See the Farmers Co-op Elevator in Ellsworth, the Colton Farmers Elevator in Colton, and the Farmers Elevator Co-op in Tripp.
Men, look what those John Deere tractors have done to us.
In the Nebraska test, John Deere's 55 series set new records for fuel efficiency, torque, and power, sir.
I know that, but what are we going to do about it?
Deere has the highest PTO horsepower too, sir.
I know that, but what do we do?
You want anything to drink? No, thanks. Welcome back to the Element Center on the campus of Augustana College in Sioux Falls. Jeff Harkness along with Dan Buck, and we've seen a very exciting first half of basketball. South Dakota State with a 1-point lead right now, 36-35. Dan, your impressions in the first 20 minutes?
Well, I think it was a seesaw battle, even though the score never really indicated it. Momentum early started out for South Dakota State, and then it seemed to swing to Augustana. And then not too far from there, it went back to South Dakota State right before they went in the locker room. And I think early, Coy Nelson established himself inside. That was a big thing, because that's what opened up the perimeter. Once Coy Nelson scored 6 early points inside, the perimeter people, they were sagging so much inside. Augie was defensively. Suddenly, South Dakota State started to light it up, and by then, they had opened up about a 5-point advantage. Augie comes back, though, and went with what they do so well, and that's inside. They had some great inside play from Mike Hansen, who had 9 first-half points. Also, Brett Zabel kind of woke up there for a while. He had 5 in the first half, but they got to do more of that. They've got to take it inside, because that's really the biggest mismatch in this game.
And really, you got to give a lot of credit to a lot of people. Obviously, State jumped out very quickly and took the home crowd out of it very early by getting up to a 5 or 6 point lead early. You've got to credit Augustana for coming back and taking State out of their game. They weren't shooting it from the outside anymore. They weren't letting them get it down inside. And so we've got an even game right now, 36-35. And right now we're going to hear from one of the schools. We're going to start with the visitors, South Dakota State University in Brookings.
For over 100 years, the people of South Dakota and the Great Plains have looked to South Dakota State University for leadership in higher education. Founded in 1881 as the state's land-grant institution, SDSU has grown in size and educational opportunities. With more than 7,000 students, we are the largest university in South Dakota. The colleges of agricultural and biological science, engineering, home economics, nursing, pharmacy, arts and science, and the Division of Education provide the most diverse academic program in South Dakota. Over 2,500 courses are offered, leading to bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degrees. South Dakota State University students find outstanding academic opportunities, excellent teaching, practical career preparation, and a friendly atmosphere. South Dakota State University, providing academic excellence since 1881.
Back in the Element Center, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits right now leading Augustana 36-35. Dan, let's talk about this building for a moment. It celebrated its 1-year anniversary back in January. And something unusual, this is the first time South Dakota State has played a basketball game in the Elman Center.
Well, usually when they come to town, they'll play out at the arena, but this year they decided they would go with the game here at the Elman Center. What a facility it is. I mean, it seats well. There's not a bad seat in the house. Everything is courtside, and I think, you know, the Augustana faithful were glad to see them finally get a building of their own and a place that they can call home, a place they can practice where they play, and that's so important to just get used to the area behind a basket. People say, well, it can't be that much of a difference, but it really is, and that's what a home court advantage is to most ball clubs is, hey, we're used to looking through that glass and seeing so much space. We're used to how we set up on this court. We're used to the colors, and of course, used to the home crowd. And I don't know if we can get a shot of some of these crowd. We get a good shot of Augie Doggy, but there's some T-shirts, and I would say close to a couple hundred of them here. They've made it quite clear that they're not real fans of South Dakota State.
No, the T-shirts in big gold letters on a blue background say "Hate State."
We can find one. I don't know if there's...
So obviously not mincing words there about their feelings towards their brothers from the north.
We're not making this up, folks. There really are T-shirts out there that say this. But it's a great rivalry, though. Despite the first half, we saw the Carrot come on the court. This has gone on. Don't think the fans are terrible fans this year. This rivalry has had this kind of intensity for years and years. And, you know, I guess every year you're going to have some incidents, whether it be down at the U, between U and State and Augie and State. And you can bet there'll be a barn burner later this month when the U comes in here in a game that could have a lot of bearing in the NCC.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. As we mentioned, a beautiful facility, a beautiful campus at Augustana. Let's take a look at it right now.
Students say they come to Augustana for quality of faculty and strength of its programs. It's a good school, and they know they'll be able to get a good job or enter the best graduate schools. In fact, the Augustana Advantage was coined by students to illustrate a personal approach to excellence in education. A Lutheran college of about 2,000 students, Augustana is small enough to be able to concentrate on the quality of each student's learning experience. Students are known as individuals with special talents and abilities. You have a name, not a number, and classes are small enough for students to receive personal attention.
And that puzzled the Americans. Why would they be sending, you know, what kind of diet?
The right program.
Message from the home team, the Augustana Vikings right now, who trail it 36-35 at halftime. We're going to come back to the Elman Center in just a moment. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
Announcing the biggest sale ever from Ford. Now Ford gives you a $1,000 cash bonus on the #1 selling cars and trucks in America. A $1,000 cash bonus from Ford on Taurus, Thunderbird, Probe, Tempo, Mustang, and Festiva. A $1,000 cash bonus on the best-selling Ford Escort and Ford Ranger, plus Bronco and Aerostar. And now a $750 cash bonus on F-Series trucks. Or choose 4.8% financing for 48 months on Taurus and Aerostar. It's the biggest sale ever from Ford. See your Ford dealer today.
Science and technology,
agriculture,
engineering,
arts and humanities,
home economics,
education,
nursing,
pharmacy.
South Dakota State University in Brookings offers 5 PhD programs and over 30 master's programs. Consider an historic university for your graduate study. South Dakota State University, here for over 100 years and here tomorrow. Call for information, 688-4181.
Couple of fans with a message for the folks at home, and I think anyone who has been in college can identify with that sign on the right, especially.
Exactly. And the other one just wants to get on TV. They'll do anything to get on TV.
They did a nice job.
At the intermission, 36-35, and again, Jeff, a game typical to what I had expected.
Yeah, I think so. I think that both teams were, as we mentioned, a little tentative at the beginning. They were both having trouble handling the ball, getting into their offenses, but they've done a nice job now, and kind of an end of an era at South Dakota State.
No question. We had mentioned earlier that we would have a special for Harry Forsyth coming up, and you know, Jeff, you and I work with him on a daily basis as the athletic director at South Dakota State. And this week I got a chance to go up to Brookings. Of course, he announced his retirement earlier, and And I got to talk with several of the coaches at SDSU, and they shared their thoughts on the retirement of Harry Forsyth.
I think that's, you get some athletic directors that about all they think about is football and basketball, and you don't get anything done in the other sports. And I think you can see from our school that we've had a lot of success in, in baseball and wrestling and track and cross country, and, and I think that's a good thing. I think that we want to excel in a lot of different areas and not just one or two. So that's probably what I think about the most, when I think about what I've been here since he took over as AD, so I've been here every year. He loves the university and he loves our athletic department. I think that kind of pride in your program helps, in all sports, and it's helped me, in cross country and track.
Well, I think he's a very fair person, and I feel like he's done a heck of a job. Looking in from the outside, it appears that it's easy to be the head of a place like South Dakota State, but when it comes down to fundraising and things like that, and supporting the total athletic program, both on the men and the women's side, like we've been able to do, I think the credit all goes back to the top, and that's back to Harry.
I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity that he gave me to coach at the college level. I don't think a lot of people would have done that. And he's been very, very supportive of our women, and continues to battle to this day for the few things that we still do need here. And we've had some good years, particularly in the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm just real pleased to be a part of South Dakota State, and I'm very thankful that I've gotten to know Dr. Harry Forsyth, and that he was my boss.
So the consistency, and I think the leadership part of it, and that what he has to show for it would be the success of the various teams through his tenure as athletic director. We're not always in the championship race, but through the time that he's been here and as the head man, we've had conference championships in I think all sports.
I have found that my experience here has been extremely enjoyable, primarily because of Harry Forsyth and the way that he's been fair with faculty members, been fair with coaches. Harry has been able to maintain an excellent balance between the athletic requirements of our staff and the academic requirements, and that's not easy to do. The funniest stories related to Harry revolve around the color red. When this pool was built 15 years ago, and they had ordered lane markers for the pool, and they were red and white. And when Harry saw them, they were immediately shipped back to the company, and we got blue and gold lane markers.
I think one of the things about Harry is that when there's work to be done, he's one of those roll up your sleeves and get it done type of guys, but he also has a great sense of humor. And you can have fun with him anytime you want by just dropping something red in front of him. It's like, it's like a bull in a bull ring. You put red in front of him and he can get excited in a hurry. It's been great experience working for him, working with him. It's one of those deals where I can honestly say I worked with him and had a great experience doing it.
Indeed, he will be missed. 40 years of service to South Dakota. Harry Forsyth.
Well, we're going to come back in a moment. You're watching North Central Conference basketball from the Elman Center on the Eyewitness News Network.
The sparkling kitchen sinks of Sioux Falls, rich and famous, are all waiting for you at Handyman at incredibly low prices. Brighten up your kitchen with a shining new stainless sink for a mere $39. Or turn your kitchen into a stunning showplace with a gourmet sink for just $299. And there's nothing like the quality of a color enameled sink to add glamour to your kitchen for only $159. Hurry to Handyman for big savings on dozens of fine quality sinks. Handyman is the professional and affordable way to do it yourself.
The program no one can match just got better because you made January one of our most successful sales months ever. We're extending the guaranteed rebates. Now get our guaranteed highest rebate on every U.S.-built 1990 Dodge car. Get up to $1,500 on our sporty Daytonas, $1,000 back on Spirit, and $1,000 on Dodge Shadow. The guaranteed rebate. Nobody can match us. Not Ford, not Chevy, not the imports. Only Dodge.
Welcome back to the Elman Center. South Dakota State leads Augie right now at halftime, 36-35. And Dan, let's take a look at some of the things that happened in this first 20 minutes.
All right, we'll go to the first half highlights. As we talked about earlier, the big key for South Dakota State out of the gate was Coy Nelson. the freshman who's only his second start in South Dakota State. If we can run the highlights. Okay, Corey Nelson jumped out 6 early points. Brett Szabo, though, would come back. He would get one in the lane. And Szabo, though, held to only 5 points in the first half, well below his average. He's going to have to turn it on to get his average of 16. Tony Matthews with the steal. He's going to go coast to coast. He'll get the bucket, as Matthews had 8 first half points, second on the team. However, Kyle Jordry also would help get Augustana back into it. Jordry coming up, hits the baseline jumper. Jordry had 4 points on the night. And later on, you'll have Brad Leiferman, who's going to hit for 2 points. And Leiferman had 4 in the first half, but he had a lot of key defensive rebounds, Jeff. And really the story of this game so far has been the balanced scoring of both teams. I mean, neither team really going to anybody a lot. They're spreading the wealth, as you would say, and that's definitely an advantage to the Jacks, because if a Brett Szabo got hot, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, whereas this is South Dakota State's brand of basketball. They like to spread the wealth and keep the big scores on the other team down, and they've done just that.
And we take a look at the field goals and the other stats for the first half. 3 more shots went in for the Jackrabbits. The shooting percentage about the same, 51% for the Jacks, 50% for Augustana. 7 more free throws for Augie. We mentioned that would be big because they were not in the penalty at all in the first half. They did shoot more free throws, and obviously they were a lot better at the line, 75% over 40%. If the State keeps that up, it's going to be a tough time. A tough time staying in this one if they don't shoot a little better from the free throw line down the stretch. And we're just about ready to start the second half. Turnovers in the first half. Augustana with 11 turnovers. South Dakota State with 9.
Looking at three-point range, too. I mentioned that South Dakota State has hit on 4 three-pointers. They are 4 of 8 from three-point range. That is good. 50% from three-point range. Augie, however, they are 0 for 4. As the shooting woes continue for Bill Gross and company, they have got to start hitting those perimeters, because a 2-3 zone defense, even if you're outmanned in size, a good 2-3 sagging zone will take away any good inside game like the Vikings have.
Okay, here we go with the second half. Out there on the floor for Augustana, Jordry, Steger, Culpepper, Garrow, and Szabo. The starting 5 up until tonight. And we got a steal by Jordry, comes back the other way to Culpepper. We'll set the Jacks 5 for you in just a moment.
Original starting 5 out there for them.
Consisting of Boer, Nelson, Flom, Holm, and Matthews. They're set up in a zone inside to Szabo. Culpepper swings it out to Garrow. Szabo 16 feet away, knocked back by Flom. Whistle, and the ball out of bounds to South Dakota State. We're going to take a timeout, 36-35. South Dakota will take a timeout of the next dead ball. The State leads it by 1. Scott Holm, ball hawked by Culpepper. Nelson
defense
on the outside. Nelson from about 17, and it rims out.
That ain't his shot. That's out of Coy's range. He may be able to hit it, but not consistently.
Steger pulled down the rebound.
He didn't go in any closer because he had Brett Szabo standing about 2 feet in front of him.
State in a zone. Culpepper and Garrow playing catch on the outside, swinging around to Jordry.
Coy Nelson really doing a good job of that middle part of that 2-3 zone.
Jordry. There's Steger. Couldn't believe how wide open he was. He stutter stepped, kind of faked, thinking that somebody was there, and absolutely no one was there, and he put it back up and in.
Augie, their first lead of the ball game.
For the second half.
Second half. They were up briefly right at the end of the first half by 1. This is their first lead again in the second half.
Nice control by Matthews that time, but he can't get the shot to fall. Back come the Vikings trying to build on a 1-point lead. Culpepper telling Garrow where to position himself. Jordry thought about it for a moment. Szabo inside, the jump hook. Yes, great. Brett Szabo has been relatively quiet so far. That's just his 7th point. Had 5 in the first half, and Augie has a 3-point lead. Off of Holmes' foot. Gets it back, bounces it out of bounds. 17:38 left, second half. Augie on top, 39-36. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
Men,
Look what those John Deere tractors have done to us.
In the Nebraska test, John Deere's 55 series set new records for fuel efficiency, torque, and power, sir.
I know that, but what are we going to do about it?
Deere has the highest PTO horsepower too, sir.
I know that, but what do we do?
You know what to do. See your John Deere dealer.
Brought to you by the following John Deere dealers. Nothing runs like a deer.
Time marches on, and so it has for the SDSU Alumni Association. In 1889, a handful of graduates formed the Dakota Agricultural College Alumni Association. A century later, the Alumni Association now has nearly 40,000 members. The Alumni Association invites you to become an active member as it celebrates a century of serving South Dakota State and you. Your financial support is needed to fund the activities of the association as it strives to serve this university. We encourage your participation in alumni events and activities. To find out more, contact the Alumni Office.
Jeff Harkness and Dan Buck back at the Elman Center with you from the campus of Augustana College in Sioux Falls. And right now the home team on top of South Dakota State, 39-36, prime time. North Central Conference basketball for you on the Eyewitness News Network.
Augustana on a 4-point run here to start the second half. And
again,
a 3-point lead.
Again, working against the zone. Georgie looked inside at Szabo, instead kicks it back out to Culpepper. Steger and Culpepper. Now Georgie for three, and it rims out. Everything looked good until it hit the rim. Matthews left alone from 14. It's a little bit too strong.
Can't miss those gimmies. That was wide open.
Augustana very fortunate that time as Georgie comes away with it to Culpepper.
I think Matthews was surprised when he drove the paint and didn't have a big man in his face. Nobody converged on it.
Georgie trying to bounce it inside to Steger, who's ball hawked by Nelson. Georgie from 13.
Wow.
And hits.
Major league move. I'm telling you, he hung up there and shot it with one hand. Took his guide hand off the ball and nails it.
Augie by 5 now. That's their biggest lead of the ball game. We've played 3.5 minutes here in the second half. Flom inside, hits over Steger. Brian Flom averaging about 7 points a ball game. The senior from Kenyon, Minnesota. Garrow Georgie to Szabo. Garrow in the corner. Culpepper standing in the corner wanting the basketball, but instead it goes into Steger, who got bumped on the way up, but still managed to rattle it home. Steger starting to come alive here in the opening moments of the second half. Holm down the lane, contact but no foul. Georgie on Matthews, gives it up to Garrow, who lays it up and it rolls out. Rebounded by Georgie though, he can't hit. Garrow tried to tip it back in. 3 chances that time for Augustana, they can't put one down. Matthews back the other way for State. They trail it by 5.
Jason Garrow's got to use his left hand on that layup. Try to put it up there right-handed with a spin. Just put it up there with your left hand, lay it in.
Matthews inside to Flom, over Steger, and twice in a row now. Ryan Flom has turned and hit over Don Steger.
Those 4 points by Flom. That is all the scoring that South Dakota State has done in the first 5 minutes of the second half.
Anthony Tucker will be in when it's dead for the Jackrabbits. Garrow on the outside. Culpepper for 3, no. Oh, nice hustle by Garrow inside, who feeds it off to Georgie for the slam dunk. Jason Garrow that time showing good presence of the line, ran through the lane, no one boxed him out. And in one motion was able to grab the ball and dish it off to Szabo for the jam.
Just kind of batted it to him. He knew he couldn't pull down the rebound, so while he was up in the air, just punched it to Brett Szabo.
Augie back up by 5. We've got a whistle and a foul. It'll be a 2-shot shooting foul. Looks like it'll be whistled against Brett Szabo.
Steger, I believe.
You're right.
That'll be Steger's 3rd.
Bill Gross probably wished it was whistled against Szabo. Brian Flom will be going to the line to shoot 2 foul shots for the Jackrabbits. On the year, the senior a 75%er for the charity stripe.
One of the better ones on this team. The Jacks, really the first time these two teams met back on January 13th, Jacks lost by 9. And in that game, free throws killed them. They missed like 14, 15 free throws in that ball game. A lot of them coming down the stretch when they really needed them, and had they hit those, it would have been a totally different story up in Brookings.
They did lose by 9, but Augustana trailed the majority of that ball game, and really, like you said, Dan, if it hadn't been for the last couple of minutes, Augie would not have come away with a victory that night.
Brian Flom needs to shoot more of their free throws, as he's perfect on that one, and as we said, a 75% free throw shooter on the year.
Flom will go for 2 straight, trying to cut it to 3, and he does. Time out of the floor, 14:35 to play second half. Augie leads it 45-42. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
Science and technology,
agriculture,
engineering,
arts and humanities,
home economics,
education,
nursing,
pharmacy.
South Dakota State University in Brookings offers 5 PhD programs and over 30 master's programs. Consider an historic university for your graduate study. South Dakota State University, here for over 100 years and here tomorrow. Call for information, 688-4181.
The biggest mobile home sale in the area is back. February 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Sioux Falls Arena. All homes are bank repossessed, and Happy Homes is passing the savings on to you. Many homes have wood siding and shingled roofs. All homes delivered and set up free. See 14 and 16 wide 2 and 3 bedroom homes. Get special financing with no down payment for qualified buyers. Hurry to the Sioux Falls Arena for Happy Homes bank repossessed sale and purchase your mobile home.
Moments ago, Jason Garrow and Zabo hooking up on a nice play.
Oh, great play. It was Culpepper in the corner. His shot's going to be off the mark. Now it's going to come out long. Jack's good positioning inside. They got it all boxed off except for that guy. Garrow, he streaks through, punches it to Zabo, who puts it down with the jam. And right now, that bucket, a big momentum lift, and they can open up their biggest lead with this trip down the court to 5.
Hanson on the outside, gets it down to the corner to Georgery. Deering might have walked, instead goes up, and it's an offensive foul.
Got a little too aggressive there. Oftentimes you come in, Mike Hansen or Michael Deering, you come in off the bench like that, and the type of players they are, they're so aggressive that they just want to make something happen immediately, and that was the case there. You see Deering going up, great positioning by Flom in the middle. He just posted up and took the charge. Sometimes it's tough to take a charge from a guy like Deering, as big as he is and strong as he is coming at you.
Nelson inside, turns and tries to hit, but instead will be whistled for a foul. Hanson will pick it up. That's number 4 on Mike.
I believe. It might be third. It might be Mike's third. I'm not sure. It is his third. But now Steger and Hansen both with 3. They're the only 2 Vikings in any type of foul trouble. State's got Leiferman with 3, and both Boer and Nelson with 2 apiece.
Keep in mind, Coy Nelson, just a freshman, 6'9" out of Wabe, hits the first. Trying to make it a 1-point game. Nothing but net.
Big Coy Nelson now with 8.
Modest full court pressure by the Jackrabbits this time. Boer ball hawking Deering.
Just man-to-man pressure all over. Now it'd be curious to see now if they fall back into a zone. They're not. They're staying in a man-to-man all over the court. I would think this would go to the Jacks' advantage if they want to go inside.
Georgery gets it into Hanson. His shot blocked by Flom. But after he got basketball, he got arm. And Hanson will go to the line.
Clean. It was a clean block, just not a clean follow-through. You'll see Hanson gets it inside, posted up. He got the ball, but he came down a little hard on the arm as well of Hanson, so he'll get to shoot a pair.
Hanson on the year, just 35% from the line, as we mentioned in the first half, but he rattles that one home. Rich McClendon checks back in, his first action of the second half of the Jackrabbits.
Hanson, the first Viking to get into double figures with 10.
Brian Flom takes a seat next to Jim Thorson on the Jackrabbits bench. Hanson long, rebounded, batted around. Boer comes away with it. Matthews pushing it up. Ball kicked out of bounds by Georgery. They'll reset the 45. Tucker will trigger the inbounds. Gets it way across court to Matthews for three over Grimsrud, and it's off the front of the rim. Hansen outlets to Georgery. Right side, Veldman too short on the lay-in, and back the other way. Boer, yes.
I tell you what, Coy Nelson made that play happen. After he got the rebound, he immediately looked to the outlet, got it out there so that the break could happen. Good job by Nelson.
A tie ball game now, 46 all, just under 13 minutes to play here in regulation. Deering on the outside. State still in a man-to-man defense. Georgery trying to get it inside to Hansen, off his hands, controlled by Coy Nelson. State with a chance to take their first lead in the last few minutes.
Actually, it'll be their first lead since the outset of this second half. Augie scored the first two baskets and have yet to trail here in the second half.
Sloppy pass that time by Matthews. Georgery comes away with it 3-on-3.
Oh!
Bucket by Hansen, and it goes.
With an exclamation point.
Anthony Tucker can't believe it.
There are jams and then there are throwdowns, and that was a throwdown, folks. On the break, watch this guy get up and down. Oh, my.
Personally, I did not see the foul that time. It might have come from behind. Tucker was whistled for the personal, so apparently it did come.
First personal on Tucker.
Mike Hansen now getting a little more confidence at the foul line. Did not look like a 35%er that time down. And Augie's up by 3.
Hansen now leading all scorers. He's got 13.
Boer in the corner to Matthews. Augie in a zone, whistle, and a foul. Going to be whistled against Kyle Georgery. 12:04 to play second half. Augie leads at 49-46. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
Since 1882, USD has been the university for South Dakota. Led by a nationally renowned faculty, we are committed to teaching, research, and service. Our commitment continues as we solve the questions of today to ensure a bright tomorrow. At USD, South Dakota's citizens learn the newest concepts in law, business, medicine, arts and sciences, fine arts, and education. Building a bright future is the commitment of your university, the University of South Dakota.
Augustana now back out by 3 after State had pulled even at 46 all. 12:04 to play in regulation.
We talked about in that first half how fouls were definitely in favor of Augustana. They shot a lot more free throws. In fact, they made 12 compared to the Jacks 5 in the first half. Well, it's going to kind of turn the tables already. Augustana with 4 personals, State with only 2. Got a lot of basketball to go, just under 12 minutes.
Augie drops back into a zone. Matthews plays catch with Tucker on the outside. Boer, correction, that's Westlake in there in the corner. Nelson tried to get it inside of McClendon. It's batted away, and it'll be ball out of bounds to State.
Good backside help that time from Bruce Veldman. As he had backside position on McClendon, reach over the top and swatted it out of bounds.
McClendon out there with Westlake. Matthews with the basketball. Tucker. Nelson on the inside. That's the 5 for South Dakota State right now. For the Vikings, I should say, it's Georgery, Grimsrud, Deering, Hansen, and Veldman.
Get that ball over to Anthony Tucker. Hit it.
Boom. We're tied.
Tell you what, that guy's unconscious from three-point range. This game alone, he's perfect, 3 for 3. Get him the ball, shoot till you miss. Make it, take it.
Dana Grimsrud, ball hawk at that time by Matthews, and Tony will be whistled for the personal foul. Pete Leiferman checks back in. Just a freshman, but already 6'8". Another freshman, Coy Nelson. take a seat on the bench as Michael Deering will inbound the ball for Augustana. Tie ball game at 49 right now, 11-10 to play. They have Grimsrud. It's been very quiet. In fact, that's his first bucket of the ball game. As we mentioned, his first collegiate start, the freshman from Rushford, Minnesota. Augie remains in that zone defense.
Boy, he sure had some gutsy play at the end of that UNO game on Saturday. For a freshman, he showed great leadership down the stretch, even though they came up a point short.
Westlake, the shot no good. Rebounded inside by Veldman. Augie looking to build on a 2-point advantage. Ball knocked out of bounds by Westlake that time, who tried to decoy the officials into calling it the other way, but they aren't going for it, and Deering's inbounding the ball. Gets it into Hansen. Georgie tried to cut down the lane, but the pass was behind him. Nice play by Deering to pick it back up, and he puts it up and in. The classic example of picking up the garbage that time.
His own garbage.
Deering threw a lousy pass, got it back, and laid it up and in.
Recycle that stuff.
4-point Augustana lead now.
Good defense.
Westlake trapped in the corner, gets it back out to Matthews, over to Tucker, who will launch from 3, and no. Rebounded by McClendon, who's absolutely hammered by Deering.
That was a good call. McClendon had his hands on the ball. Deering again just aggressive play. You'll see the rebound come off long. First miss of the night by Tucker from 3-point range. And you see obviously McClendon in control of the basketball when he got hammered.
Exactly 10 minutes to play in the second half. Augustana leads at 53-49. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
Hello, I'm Bob Klein from Microcomputer Systems in Brookings. In today's business world, it's important to get an edge on your competition. We can give you that edge by generating dependable computer solutions from an experienced professional staff backed by companies like Epson, Dones, and Armor Systems. We offer on-site service and training as well as in-house software seminars. At Microcomputer Systems, we want to build a professional partnership with you and your business.
Elliott & Anderson Floor Covering has your new flooring. Elliott & Anderson Floor Covering is your complete Armstrong Floor Fashion Center and Carpet Studio. They carry full lines of Armstrong carpets and inlaid color floors. Elliott & Anderson Floor Covering features Armstrong's computerized floor information center with complete information on Armstrong flooring. All Armstrong flooring and carpets are fully guaranteed, and installation is backed by Elliott & Anderson Floor Covering. For the best selection, best service, and professional installation, come to Elliott & Anderson Floor Covering in Sioux Falls.
Exactly the halfway mark of the second half. Augustana with a 4-point lead after being down at halftime. They lead at 53-49. Ball out of bounds to South Dakota State right in front of their own bench.
Again, balanced scoring for both ball clubs. Up and down the line, you've got no one really taking over. Augustana being led by 13 points from Mike Hansen. Then comes Brett Szabo with 9. Don Steger's got 6. As does Jordry and Veldman. So they're spreading the wealth.
Westlake on the outside, takes it around inside, tried to dish it off. Loose ball on the floor, knocked out of bounds by Hansen.
Good hustle, though, by both Mike Hansen and also Leiferman, who came over there. Pete Leiferman was also skidding across the... Now he checks out his rug burn.
Westlake got in a little bit too low that time, tried to bounce it outside of Leiferman, but
Leiferman thought he was going to shoot it.
By everybody, exactly. Leiferman was going for the offensive position on the rebound. Matthews on the outside. Looks like a 1-2-2 zone now by Augustana. Leiferman with Grimsrud and Deering all over him, and the shot's no good.
They were all over him, and then suddenly he was wide open. Like he just stepped into paradise. No one around, he missed it.
Deering tried to get it up top to Jordry. Instead, it's knocked away by Westlake, who's being held by Deering. And Michael right now is doing a nice acting job, because that's, even in football, they drop a yellow hanky on that one.
Yeah, it might have been a combination of the two, though. If we go back to the replay, maybe we could see where he gets... Looked like he had the position to go after it. I guess they don't have it, but he was definitely in position to go after the ball, because it looked as if, I believe, Boer was losing his balance, trying to get back. Or it was Westlake,
It was
actually.
Westlake, but it looked like Gearing was holding him from behind, but it's a moot point. Foul is whistled on Michael. Westlake in the corner, gets it back out to Tucker. Back to Westlake. Matthews will try to swing it around. He'll try the three-pointer, and they say his foot was on the line. They say his foot was on the line, so it only counts for 2. 2-point ball game, 53-51, 8:30 to play. Matthews whistled for a silly foul up top. And if looks could kill, Matthews would be doing hard time right now.
With a good shot at Bill Gross. Some anxious moments ahead for him. Only 8:33 to go, and his team in yet another barn burner here at the Elman Center.
Gross in his 7th year at the helm of the Viking program, 127 and 66 overall. 20 games above 500 in NCC play, 69 and 49. His best finish, of course, a cold conference championship last year with Northern Colorado. He's got a whistle and a foul. We're going to walk the other way. So shoot free throws, a 1-and-1. Mike Hansen whistled for the personal, and Hansen's picking them up in a hurry now.
Remember that, folks, too. With 8:22 to go, the Jacks put into the bonus. Last time the free throws killed them. Up in Brookings, they missed 16 free throws.
Mike Hansen now has reached the limit. One more and he'll be gone. You see him there on the inside. He was actually, what the officials ruled was he was holding Pete Leiferman on the screen there as Georgie tried to drive the baseline. Leiferman at the other end to shoot it, and he hits the first.
So you've got Hansen with 4, Deering with 3.
This one to tie it, and it does. Coy Nelson checks back in, and Leiferman, after hitting 2 free throws, will take a seat. South Dakota State now showing some full court pressure.
That's what I was talking about. It's kind of a diamond defense. They'll pressure the ball after it comes up court.
Still modest pressure. Augustana beats it easily. Grimsrud. Hansen on the inside of Zabel, who might have pushed on, but nonetheless a nice two-handed jam for Brett Zabel. Augie back up by 2.
Just a beautiful backdoor pass coming up here. Mike Hansen to Brett Zabel, puts it away with both hands. And I tell you, when you're in a man-to-man, these Jacks are going to have to expect that. They're going to go inside of their big boys.
Westlake thought about the 3, but instead Georgie was right in his face. Almost stolen by Grimsrud. Tucker tried to dish it off inside to Nelson, but Grimsrud there on the defensive play. Whoa, and he dragged his pivot foot. Dana Grimsrud that time, a little indecision, a freshman mistake. Dragged his pivot foot, trying to force it off inside. Augie had a chance to build on a 2-point lead. Grimsrud will sit down, and I think Bill Gross will be telling him exactly that. Hey, you got the basketball, you made a nice defensive play. Don't make all that hard work go for naught by making it a silly mistake at the other end.
And he pulled up his dribble way too far out top.
Matthews nails it for 2.
He has 12.
We're tied again at 55 this time. 7:20 to play in regulation. Things starting to heat up here in the Elman Center. Garrow, Hansen. Steal for Tucker the other way, and he traveled. Jim Thorson cannot believe it. Anthony Tucker stopped his dribble 1 beat too soon and took too many steps.
This ain't the NBA, Mr. Tucker. That move would go unnoticed in the NBA, or even the CBA for that matter, but in the college, they give you 2 steps only on the drive.
So a big swing that time. State had a chance to break the 55-all deadlock, I should say. Instead, we've got Garrow the other way, and before the shot, a foul against Hansen, and that is all. Mike Hansen has fouled out of the ball game with 6:54 to play, jostling for position underneath. And that is a big play.
A big play for 2 reasons. One, he has been such an aggressive player, not only on the offensive boards where he has scored 13 points, but defensively he's ripped down a lot of defensive rebounds. We don't have the official stats. But another big key was that they made the shot on the play. That's 2 points you take away, and you send Coy Nelson to the line instead, so it could be a 4-point swing.
So both teams right now getting generous. Tucker's shot waved off because of traveling. Garrow's shot that would have gone whistled off because of the foul underneath by Hansen. He goes to the bench with 5. And Nelson puts down a free throw to give State the lead. That's the kind of stuff that gives coaches gray hairs. Nelson perfect. 57, 55. State on top.
Nelson,
less than 7 minutes to play.
Again in double figures for the second time in a row since he got in the starting role. He has 10.
State in a man-to-man. Georgery. Steger in there now. He replaced Hansen, who went out. Whistle inside, and Flom will be whistled for the personal. A little wrestling match inside with Brett Zabo. No shot on the foul, so it'll be ball out of bounds underneath the Augustana basket.
This is just good, clean basketball inside. Both of them fighting for position. Flom trying to hook around inside. You see him there. And a little too aggressive on the back of Brett Zabo.
Back to line action. Jason Garrow puts it down. And it's tied again at 57. Westlake in the corner. Ball hawked by Garrow and Steger. Gets it inside to Nelson. Too strong. Zabo all over the back of Westlake. And no foul. But State maintains possession.
Definitely it looked like Westlake had the inside position and Brett Zabo was on his back. Instead, the Jacks just get the ball instead of the foul.
57-57. Coming up on 6 minutes to play in regulation. Garrow with a reach in up top on Matthews. And again, everything from now on out then is free throw time for the Jackrabbits.
For Jason Garrow, only his first personal. They gotta hit these free throws. And up here in the second half, they've done a much better job of it, as they have hit on 8 straight. South Dakota State must have had a free throw clinic at halftime after going 5 of 9 in the first half.
Matthews a 57%er on the year, bricks the first one. And we're still tied at 57 with 6 minutes to play now in regulation.
Can't miss those one-and-ones. Those will start to add up on you.
Garrow just inside three-point line for 2. Jason Garrow now finding the outside range. Augie back up by 2.
That's the Jason Garrow we know from early in the year. And those last 2 shots he's hit in the second half have been with confidence. He's putting it up with confidence.
A zone defense now for Augie inside, and Nelson with a right hand over Zabo.
Sweet.
Boy, Nelson showing excellent poise for a freshman. Going that time up against Zabo and hitting.
Good agility, too, for a big guy. He moves very well. I think that was a big question mark for a lot of Division I and II coaches when they were scouting him at Waubay High School.
Steger over Flom, too strong. Rebounded by Nelson. State with a chance to take the lead now. Westlake in the corner. Pounds it inside. Here's Nelson again. Zabo bumps him. And it's going to be a non-shooting foul, but again, there will be free throws. Nelson will shoot 1 and 1 instead of 2.
I tell you, Nelson, as a freshman, he's trying to take over this game. Here you're going to see him coming down underneath Brett Zabo. You see Zabo give him a hit there, gives him another hit there while his feet are moving. He's sliding underneath him. They got him before he was attempting this shot, so it'll be a 1-and-1 when we return.
Time out of the floor, 5:04 left, 59-59. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
You got a vision, a dream for the future. You want to see it come true.
If you're on the road to success and achievement, Southwest State is for you.
Discover your future at Southwest State. Your choices are clearer now. You're going far. Discover your future
at Southwest State.
Men, look what those John Deere tractors have done to us.
In the Nebraska test, John Deere's 55 series set new records for fuel efficiency, torque, and power, sir.
I know that, but what are we going to do about it?
Deere has the highest PTO horsepower too, sir.
I know that, but what do we do?
You know what to do. See your John Deere dealer.
Brought to you by the following John Deere dealers. Nothing runs like a deer.
Back at the Elman Center, Coy Nelson will go to the line for a 1-and-1. Trying to break the 59-all deadlock with 5:04 left.
Coy, a good free throw shooter. It's 5 for 5 tonight.
I have a feeling that Jim Thorson's going to find a place for this youngster in the starting lineup from now on, no matter what he has to do.
No matter who's injured. You make room for a guy like that. He is 6 for 6 from the free throw line, and he now has 14 in the game.
Stayed up by 2. Less than 5 minutes to play now. Culpepper running the offense, trying to spread out the state zone. Jordry in the corner. Inside, this is Steger. Culpepper. Garrow inside to Zabo, and he puts it up and in over Nelson. And again, we're tied at 61 this time. This is the game that we had hoped for.
You bet it is. 61 all, wild crowd.
Westlake, 3, no. Rebounded by Jordry. Westlake might have pulled the trigger a bit too soon that time. Jim Thorson, I think, is wanting these guys to run a little bit more time off the clock, 3 or 4 passes before they take a shot.
I would work the right side of this zone, right where they're working it right now.
Steger got Flom up in the air. He should have continued with a shot. Instead, passed it off to Culpepper. We're going to go back moments ago when Zabo had underneath over Nelson.
I talked about working the right side of this zone. That's why. You've got a smaller guy on the outside. It's easier to get that inside pass in. Therefore, you can work one-on-one Zabo. When you go to the right side, you've got Flom on the wing and Coy Nelson down low to contend with. So if you go to the right, you're going to have a much better chance working against Westlake and Coy Nelson inside.
And the key that time for Zabo was not putting the ball on the floor. He just continued with one fluid motion and put it up and in. If you put it on the floor, you give the defense a chance to recover, but an excellent move that time by Zabo. Garrow for 3. Jason Garrow is starting to catch fire. Augie up by 3.
Somebody gave that man a wake-up call. He has been struggling from the perimeter for the last 4 or 5 games, and he's been perfect here in the second half.
We're down at nail-biting time at the Elman Center. 3:30 to play in regulation. The Jacks down by 3. Tucker inside of Nelson, but Zabo will be whistled for the foul. Zabo just reached over Coy's shoulder a bit too much, and Nelson once again will be going to the line for a 1-and-1.
And the key to drawing that foul was the fact they kept the pass low. They kept it down low where he had to reach down a little bit to try to get the ball. Had that pass been any higher, Zabo would have knocked it away, and it probably would have turned to a Vikings fast break. Let's see if he can keep this string of 6 straight free throws going. Make it 7.
No doubt about that one.
That barely caught cord.
Coy Nelson is maturing right in front of our very eyes.
I tell you, a freshman to step into any NCC game in any role, whether a guard, a forward, and to dominate a ball game, which he has really started to do. He has wanted the ball, he's taken control, and these final 3.5 minutes, I'm sure they're going to go to Coy Nelson. He has the leadership right now on the floor.
Nelson is turning into a bona fide college player right now in front of our eyes. Garrow gets it inside to Steger, who shoots, and the shot is no good. Zabo had a chance to knock it in, but his follow shot was too strong. And State now with a chance to take the lead with 3 minutes to play. Matthews and Tucker. Westlake left open for a moment. Cross court to Tucker for 3. Yes.
That guy has 12 points, and all 12 points have come from the bombing zone.
Jason Garrow and Anthony Tucker right now matching three-pointer for three-pointer. Culpepper with a rare shot, but he hits from 13.
Coast to coast, he took it down himself.
Elijah Culpepper's first field goal of the ball game. He has 4 points.
Sixes are wild.
66-66. 2:20 to play. Westlake. Matthews. Tucker is dying to take a 3.
He's 4 of 6 from three-point land.
Matthews looks inside and gets it inside to Leiferman. Ball knocked away by Steger. Jordry the other way. Stops, pulls up, off the front of the rim, gets his own board out of control, but it's rebounded inside by Steger.
Steger started that break and he finished it. He was the one who batted the ball away to Jordry. Jordry missed on 2 chances, but Steger following him up.
Don Steger puts Augustana up 68-66, a minute 45 left. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
The sparkling kitchen sinks of Sioux Falls, rich and famous, are all waiting for you at Handyman at incredibly low prices. Brighten up your kitchen with a shining new stainless sink for a mere $39. Or turn your kitchen into a stunning showplace with a gourmet sink for just $299. And there's nothing like the quality of a color enameled sink to add glamour to your kitchen for only $159. Hurry to Handyman for big savings on dozens of fine quality sinks. Handyman is the professional and affordable way to do it yourself.
When it comes to hogs, no one knows them better than the good folks at GTA Feeds. New Groplex complete feeds and supplements from GTA contain all the nutrients your hogs need for maximum production. Plus, GTA Feeds contain high levels of lysine to save you money without sacrificing feed quality or performance. See your GTA Feeds dealer today and put Groplex to work for you. See the Farmers Co-op Elevator in Ellsworth, the Colton Farmers Elevator in Colton, and the Farmers Elevator Co-op in Tripp.
The joint is jumping. 33rd and Grange in Sioux Falls, the Elman Center. Let's take a look at that shot a moments ago.
Here it is coming up on the break. After Steger had knocked it away, got it ahead to Jordry. Jordry's shot comes off, he gets his own rebound, his shot is off again, and the guy who started the break, Steger, follows it up with a bucket. You see the eruption in the background. And Vikings up by 2, but the Jacks with the ball.
A backcourt violation that time. Brian Westlake took the ball from the official right in front of the scorer's table. Was very, very confused when he got the ball. You could tell right away he did not exactly know what the situation was.
Well, why did Westlake give him the ball when he's moving from right to left towards the backcourt? Wait till he gets to the backcourt to get him the ball. Don't throw him the ball when he's on one side.
I think he was a little more concerned with the beating the 5-second count. He gave it to Anthony Tucker, but Tucker was standing on the wrong side of the midcourt stripe. So a big turnover. Augie with a chance to go up by 4. Steger on the outside as the Vikings are content to spread it out. Culpepper, they're just going to drain as much time off this clock as they can unless they get a decent shot inside. 15 seconds left on the shot clock. A minute 10 left to go in regulation. Szabo with 8 on the clock. Shot is partially blocked by Nelson. Whistle and a foul underneath. It'll be whistled against South Dakota State.
Jason Garrow in there mixing it up with the big boys. He goes inside strong to try to get this rebound. Watch him. He's like a little snake. You see him slithering in there. Right between 2 Jack players. Gets the inside position. Gets the rebound. That's just poor boxing out by the Jacks. They got to stick a hip in him. Keep him out of there.
First personal whistle against Brian Westlake, but a huge foul at this point. If Garrow can convert from the line, he hits the first.
Garrow only 6'1", and he's pulled down a couple big offensive rebounds in this second half. None bigger than that last one.
It's clock watching time right now at the Elman Center. 1:04 to play in regulation. Augie leads it 69-66. Timeout Vikings. You're watching NCC basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
This is it, honey. I'm leaving you. I don't care how cool you think you are, how many generations you say adore you. You just don't excite me anymore. And don't give me that sweet routine. It's just not my style. I've discovered a real pop star.
Discover the 1-calorie real cola taste worth leaving Pepsi for.
Goodbye, Pepsi. Diet Coke, let's rock and roll.
Ow! Diet Coke!
Sir, marketing wants to know if you got last quarter's sales figures.
Okay. I hate paperwork. I bet you do too. That's why so many South Dakota businesses carry their health coverage with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Their no paperwork claim filing saves time and money and helps your employees get the coverage and service they deserve.
Sir, the sales figures?
Tell them I've got some partial figures here. Blue Cross and Blue Shield, first in coverage for South Dakota.
NCAA Division II basketball at its best. 64 ticks left on the Elman Center clock. Augustana leads it 69-66 as Jason Garrow will toe the charity stripe to try to put him up by 4.
Garrow looking for his 8th point of the game and his 8th point of this half. All his scoring has come here in the second half when he lit fire from outside.
So State now down by 4, needs 2 possessions to tie it up or take the lead. Anthony Tucker against Culpepper. Man-to-man defense by the Vikings. Matthews just inside 3. The shot too long. Rebounded by Jordry. Ahead to Garrow. Lays it up and in. A by 6 with 40 seconds to play. And State's going to have to put it up in a hurry. Tucker inside to Westlake. State wants timeout, but they don't see their bench. And we've got a foul. 30.4 seconds left.
That was very heads up by the Vikings to get the ball out of the hoop and get it back in bounds before State could call a timeout. What they forced them to do was foul, first of all, which gives Augie a 1-and-1 opportunity, but it also forces them to eat up some more clock. They got 6 seconds off their clock by getting the ball in bounds.
Jim Thorson and Mark Peterson were going crazy on the South Dakota State sideline, trying to get their guys to call a timeout, but Augustana with a heads-up play, as you mentioned, Dan, ripping it out of the nets and getting it back in a hurry. So we're going to keep it here, 30.4 seconds. Remember now, this year they've gone to that 1/10 of a second on the clock just to help you out to know how much time exactly is left. And in a game like this, every 1/10 of a second could play a big difference.
Yeah, that 1/10 of a second can be a very big difference. Of course, that NBA game not too long ago where they had 1/100th of a second on the clock. They shot it, inbounds the ball, shot it. They counted it at the time, but later the commissioner of the NBA ruled that doesn't work. He said there's no way someone can get a shot off in 1/100th of a second.
Trent Tucker of the Knicks hitting that shot with 1/10 of a second left against the Bulls, and at the time, a three-point shot won the game. The Knicks were down by 2. But since that point, the NBA did some random testing to figure out exactly what you can do with a basketball in a 1/10 of a second, and they figured that getting it off a pass, turning and shooting, you just can't do it in a 1/10 of a second. Now they said a tip-in or an alley-oop, something like that, they would allow that. But anything now that comes with anything less than 3/10 of a second is not going to be allowed unless it's a tip-in.
We mentioned Jason Garrow having a hot hand here in the second half. He has 11 second half points. That is second on the team behind Brett Zabel with 13.
Elijah Culpepper tries to put Augie up by 6.
Can't forget about Mike Hansen also with 13, but we haven't seen Mike for quite a while. He fouled out with about 8 minutes to go.
Augie to Augie across the way with the broom out, looking for the sweep. Of course, Augie won up at Brookings on January 13th. And right now they've got a 6-point lead with less than 30 seconds to play. Tucker pushes it up against Culpepper. Westlake for a long three-pointer. Didn't even draw iron. Ball out of bounds to South Dakota State with 20.9 seconds left.
I think he was trying for a 6-point shot there.
State has to get it up in a hurry. And they've got to hit him from behind the three-point line. Matthews doesn't have time to dribble it against Garrow. Shot too strong, rebounded by Zabel. Ahead to Garrow, and Augustana's going to win it. Goaltending whistle that time against Anthony Tucker. That puts Augie up by 8 with 11.6 ticks left. And the Viking fans love it. On their feet throughout the Elman Center as they are going to see an Augustana sweep of South Dakota State this year. Augie will break their 3-game losing streak. State will go to 0-8 overall on the road in 1989-1990. And there's the final buzzer. Final from the Elman Center. Augustana 76, South Dakota State 68. We're coming right back. You're watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network.
In Sioux Falls, one pharmacy fills more prescriptions than all the others combined.
Through the years, Lewis has earned a reputation of being both dependable and genuinely concerned.
Lewis, Sioux Falls' first stop in pharmacy for nearly 50 years.
Men, look what those John Deere tractors have done to us.
In the Nebraska test, John Deere's 55 series set new records for fuel efficiency, torque, and power, sir.
I know that, but what are we going to do about it?
Deere has the highest PTO horsepower too, sir.
I know that, but what do we do?
You know what to do. See your John Deere dealer.
Brought to you by the following John Deere dealers. Nothing runs like a deer.
The U.S. Census isn't just a population count. It helps allocate money to your community for things like hospitals, schools, and daycare centers. So answer the census. It counts for more than you think.
Welcome back to the Elman Center on the campus of Augustana College in Sioux Falls. The fans filing out. Augustana coming away with a 76-68 win over South Dakota State in North Central Conference basketball for you live on the Eyewitness News Network tonight. With the 8-point win, Augustana ups their record now to 5-6 in the conference, 13-7 overall. With the loss, the Jacks now have dropped 12 of their last 15. They fall to 3-8 in the conference, 8-12 overall. North Dakota still leads it at 7-3 in the conference. The Sioux will play tomorrow night when they host Morningside up in North Dakota. Other games coming up tomorrow night in the North Central Conference. UNO is at home to St. Cloud. Northern Colorado plays at home to Mankato State. The USD Coyotes will be on the road. They play at North Dakota State tomorrow night. Then coming up on Saturday, Mankato and UNO. In Omaha, St. Cloud will play Northern Colorado in Greeley. Morningside at North Dakota State. And then USD will play at North Dakota against the Sioux. As we mentioned, North Dakota leads it right now in the conference, 7-3. UNO and Mankato just a half game back going into action tomorrow night, 7-4. As you see the stats now. North Dakota State at 6-4, a game out. Northern Colorado a game and a half back at 6-5. Then you have USD even at 5-5. Augie now with their win 5-6, moves them to 2.5 back. Morningside at 4-6 is 3 out. South Dakota State now with their loss, they fall into a last place tie with St. Cloud at 3-8. Both of those schools are 4.5 games back of the Fighting Sioux of UND. South Dakota State led it at the half, but Augustana came out and reeled off the first 4 points of the second 20 minutes. A back and forth affair, tied several times in the last half, but Augustana was able to prevail in the second half again. The final, Augie 76, South Dakota State 68. It was a 1-point game at the half, as we mentioned. Stayed on top 36-35. And it really was a close game. The 8-point differential in this one is going to be very misleading. When you pick up the paper tomorrow, people who did not see the game or who were not here at the Elman Center are going to say, well, 8 points, that really wasn't that close of a game, but they're wrong. It was a very exciting nip and tuck game down the stretch. Augustana just took advantage of their breaks down the stretch, hit their free throws when they needed to. Got some late steals, stayed obviously out of their game, had to throw up 3-point shots. And thus you have the 8-point advantage, Augustana 76. South Dakota State 68. The only game for these two teams this week, by the way, because they are traveling companions in the North Central Conference. And so they're idle until next week, which will give Augie more of a chance to enjoy the victory and will give Jim Thorson and his South Dakota State crew a chance to get back and do some more work. Just looking ahead on the schedule, Augustana's next game will be here at the Elman Center coming up on February 13th when they host North Dakota State. That same night up in Brookings, the Jackrabbits will be back in action at Frost Arena when they host North Dakota. Dan Buck is standing by with tonight's winning head coach.
Coach, I guess the first thing is the kids had heart. They really showed it down the stretch where they came together, and I know that had to be a concern of yours coming in, whether they could pull out the big one.
Well, that's true. We have struggled. I think that's no secret, and these guys really hung together and played together with a lot of heart, and some guys that hadn't maybe played as well as they would have liked really came through for us tonight. So just a great team effort.
Okay. Down the road now, can this be a momentum lift for you guys as you head to the postseason?
Well, I hope so. I hope it can be a confidence builder. We really a little bit down here after losing these last 3 games, and we really needed this game tonight, and we have to use it now as a springboard, to hopefully get to the postseason and make something happen there.
Got a great performance out of Mike Hansen and Jason Garrow there in the second half.
Well, we sure did. Jason's been a starter, and he came back here and didn't start tonight and really came in and gave us a lift and just played like we knew he could play. And Mike Hansen, explosive player, and he did some great things for us. And really happy those guys' contributions.
All right, good luck to you, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, we'll get a couple of these other stars in here. One is Mike Hansen, and Mike, your best point performance of the year, and you had to be happy. It seemed like you were awful aggressive tonight.
Yeah, it felt good. I just need to come off the bench and just help where I can, like rebounding and the defense, and it went well tonight.
Tonight it seemed like you wanted to go to the hole, though, when you got the ball.
Yeah, well, that's kind of my game, so, when I got it and it was open, I just went for it.
All right, team, is this going to be a confidence boost? I throw the same question to you as I did to Coach. Is this the kind of game you guys need to turn it around?
Yeah, for sure it is. I think with the changed lineup now, bring the other guys back in. They played well off the bench, and I think this is what it takes to turn it around. I think we're on our way back.
All right, Mike, super job. Jason Garrow, another player who really turned it on in the second half. And Jason, they started to fall for you finally. I know that had to be frustrating through that dry spell.
It was really frustrating, and it's not like I was shooting good in practice, but it's just like, couldn't perform, and you got to prove it on the court no matter how you make it in practice. But I felt good stroking it second half. I got some open shots. They overplayed me, and I was wide open. We got the ball inside. We worked it back and forth. We had a good blend, and the second half I think we showed some real good intensity. Showed some guts, because we've been down, losing 2 at home, and it really helps to just get out here and win a game like that, and it's exciting with the big crowd and everything.
You believe in this team? Do you think that you can turn it around?
I think we can. It's like no problem. We always knew we had the team, but we just had to blend together. He changed the lineup a little bit, and it kind of frustrated me early. But then I realized, maybe they have something, they know what they're going to do, and I guess it worked out. He switched it up the whole night tonight, and he got a good combination, got a good effort from the bench, I think, and that really helps. Elisha came and sparked us early in the first half, and Mike D. I mean, everybody, you can go down the line and just helped us out really good.
All right, super job, and good luck to you guys.
You bet. We'll be there.
All righty. Jason Garrow, one of the many stars tonight as Augie wins it 76-68. Jeff?
Thank you very much, Dan. Augustana 8 points better than South Dakota State, and this is the 117th meeting between the two schools. A final in tonight from Wichita Falls. The Skyforce beats the Texans 122-111. As we mentioned, Sioux Falls will be home this weekend. They have games Saturday night and Sunday afternoon out at the arena as they try to catch ground on the San Jose Jammers for that final wild card, the only wild card spot in the National Conference of the CBA. We've got a couple minutes left for you tonight. Again, the final, Augie 76, South Dakota State 68. As we mentioned, the 117th meeting between the two schools. As we wait for Dan to come back over from doing his post-game interviews, really a balanced attack. It was not the kind of game that we expected. It was not dominated by Rich McClendon and Brett Szabo as has been in the past. The guys that you talked to, Mike Hansen, Jason Garrow, really, even though Hansen fouled out, played big roles in the ballgame.
No question. I think both teams had to take those roles. Both teams had to find out what was going to work without their big guns. Brett Szabo's been shut down really for the last 2 weeks by a lot of teams, so they had to find a way to work their offense somewhere else. And of course, Jason Garrow, you knew it was just a matter of time before that guy broke out of his shooting slump, because tonight he had to prove it not only to the fans and to coach, but to himself. I mean, that confidence is so important when you're hitting those long-range shots. And as Jason said, maybe benching him tonight from the starting role was good for him, to let him sit back, get the rhythm of the game in his mind before he got in there. And in the second half, that definitely worked. He really came on, shot the lights out. And Mike Hansen, same way. He really played well.
And no doubt South Dakota State is obviously going to go home disappointed because they lost 2 games to Augustana this year and dropped the 8-point decision here tonight. But they've got to be encouraged, especially by the play of Coy Nelson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said all through the broadcast, we have seen a player coming into his own, a high school player who, dominated South Dakota. But the NCC is not South Dakota high school basketball by any means. And I think he proved tonight that Wahlbay High School is definitely a good place to get the start. And tonight he really matured. He really wanted the basketball, and he performed when he got it.
All right, North Central Conference basketball prime time on the Eyewitness News Network. An 8-point decision for you tonight. Don't forget, join us on the 24th when we will be back here again at the Elman Center. In town that night, or that afternoon, I should say, will be the Coyotes of USD for a 3:35 tip-off. But for right now, Jeff Harkness for Dan Buck. The final score, once again, Augustana 76, South Dakota State 68. Thanks for joining us. You've been watching North Central Conference basketball on the Eyewitness News Network. Good night.
South Dakota is enduring some tough drying times. Good evening, I'm Kelly Eggers.
And I'm Tom Rooney. Among the stories next on Eyewitness News, we'll look into the drought and the problems facing rural and urban South Dakotans.
And will the oil spill off the California coast stay at sea?
Andy Rooney raises a ruckus.
And in sports,
playing the Augustana Vikings. Not the only game out here tonight. The women were doing it as well. Let's go to the highlights of that one. 20th ranked South Dakota State in town playing the Lady Jacks. Late in the first half, Lori Anderson gives Augie a 5-point lead on the great give and go with Deidre McCain as the lights went out in the Elman Center. And I don't know if they came back on. They did come back on. Anderson led all scorers with 24 tonight. But State kept it close. Here, Carlene Rose posts up inside, bangs down the turnaround. She and Lori Bruns had 14 to make it a 1-point game. But the Lady Vikings, Dana Nielsen, would come down and hit the 10-footer in the lane. Augie up at the half by only 2, 37-35. State tried to come back into the game to start the second half. Lori Fish with a 17-footer out top. She had 9 on the night. But Dave's Krauth girl would open up a score by as many as 14 on the night, thanks in part to a hot hand by Deidre McCain, left side for 2 of her 18. Augie wins their 6th straight at the Elman Center. The final tonight, 84-59. They have knocked off a top 20 team for the 3rd time this season. Other basketball